But the general, how long is the general?
The general is he 6 now?
He's
What?
6. He's 6.
He's 6. The general is still 6.
Yeah.
The congregational leader is what we call him now. I suppose
Yes.
general is a little bit too militaristic for this day and age, you know.
And is there a limit to the amount of times you can serve?
Two of those terms, right.
The general is what country is the general from or has been?
He's at the present general is from India. All of our superior generals have been from Ireland up until, what was it, 1978, is it, I think?
Yes.
Roughly speaking, that's the time. The first non-Irishman was Brother Austin Loftus, who was the president of Iona College.
I remember.
Right. And he's the only man who has served in that job as an American. He was followed by, I think, a Canadian, and we've had an Australian, and now we have an Indian. So the Irish have not yet come back into it.
Is that, I heard that India has the most young men wanting to be brothers. Is that the case?
At this
Yes,
point in time, yeah.
it is. I think the efforts in Africa are paying off at the present time. There's a good number of people in the formation program in Africa.
And South America as well. The third world countries seem to
Third
be
world, yeah.
where
Yeah,
a lot of young men want to be brothers at this point.
So you got put on the ballot.
I
It went to Rome.
went to Rome, and I was elected. That was in 1975, and I served until 1985. And when that 10-year period was over, they asked me, the new provincial asked me to set up a development office, a fundraising office here in the province. And that was in 1986. And I was in that position until 1998. Yes, 12
So
years.
you after you were provincial, you went into fundraising.
Yes.
How did you find that? I always find that one of the hardest jobs in the world. Fundraising.
Well, it's not an easy job, okay. We never had a formal office for fundraising. I suppose we had gotten, I don't know whether to say lazy or just took it for granted that the good years, from the point of view of enrollments and vocations, when we could keep the costs very low and get a good number of people into the schools, that would go on forever. Well, it changed. The vocation picture radically changed, I would say, probably starting in the late 60s. And then the fall off continued straight on through. So that there was not the income that we were getting from students, and yet prices, of course, were going up. So we had to get money to keep the place going, and had to resort to outside fund, unless we raised the tuition so high that people couldn't afford it, we were putting ourselves out of business. So, to answer your question, I didn't have any experience other than running a school, so I knew something a little bit about public relations. And they probably said, well, there's the barrel, he's the only one in it, let's pull him out. And,
You're too humble.
no, I don't know. So I held the job for 12 years. And it was basically building something up from the bottom, because we didn't even have a database to begin. In fact, we didn't have a computer because we weren't computerized at that time. But we soon had to become computerized, you know, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that lasted until 68.
98.
Until 1998. And I was living then, I stayed on living in the provincial center, which is 21 Prior Terrace. The next man, the man who took my place, said, "Stay here." He had some of his people out elsewhere, so there was room for me. But in '93, the new provincial wanted all of his assistants to be housed in that building. So he asked me to pack up and go. And I came over here.
Now at this point, you've had how many years in the Brothers?
Up until the point that I moved in here,
So you went to West Park. From West Park till now.
till right now. Oh, 55, maybe it's 56.
Wow. So
56.
in all those years, looking back on it,
56.
is it something that you would recommend? Is it you look back and think, what if you'd gone another way? How does it sit?
I think I could only comment on that from the point of view of myself, just how does it sit with me? I don't know how it would sit with anybody else, but it sits fine with me. You know, there have been the ups and downs, and there have been plenty of them. But I think that if you're kind of focused on the why am I here,
On the planet or here at the Brothers?
here in the brother, why did I come?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can stay focused on that, because you came for Christ, now if you can stay focused on that, you can put the difficulties that are associated with the life and just with community living and so forth, you can put it in its place, its proper place. These things wear off and so forth. Over the weekend I got very excited about a little incident can you imagine, over a slice of, you don't know anything about this, over, the only thing he did, we have to tell him everything, he's like going to confession, you know, over a slice of bread, through a misunderstanding, that's all it was. Philomena had made these like Italian breads, you know,
Yes,
and then she put kind of you know, that stuff.
Prosciutto, she meant prosciutto.
Is that what it's called?
I love
Yeah,
prosciutto.
it's Italian.
Oh,
and
yeah.
for me, it's very, very spicy.
Yes.
You know?
The tomatoes and everything.
Yeah, right. So I wanted a slice of bread. So I went up at the table, and one of the aides, a new aide, brand new aide, Doris, is that her name?
No, we called her Doris because nobody knew what her name was.
Oh, that's
okay. Okay. But at any rate, you know, I was going through, and I just saw this prosciutto there, and I knew that I didn't like the spice. So I said, could I get a piece of bread? So she said, well, we haven't got any bread. I said, well, I know that, because there was no basket out, you know. So she went back into the kitchen and must have asked for bread. And Philomena came out, and she said, who's a very good friend of mine, we get along fine, who said, there's bread right there. I said, I don't want that kind, I just want a slice of bread. And this new girl said, well, here's some of this. I said, I don't want that. I want a slice of bread. So
That is
Philomena
so
ran.
unlike you.
I don't shout too much, you know. So, and then I sat down, I was getting angrier by the minute. Why can't I get a slice of bread in a religious house? I know they have enough money to buy bread. Now, can you put that in its place, you know? I mean, the momentary flare-up, can you bring it back where it belongs, you know? So, yeah, I mean, you know, you're asking, would you have changed your life? No. I would have changed little pieces of it here and there, but the basic decisions, no. You know, yeah.
Which seems to be, across the board, such a common thing from the Brothers, that they've just loved being a brother. That the good is far outweighed the bad, and
Right.
you know, like the idea of communal living. You just put it in perspective. There are just certain luxuries of having your food prepared, but it may not be what you want.
Exactly. You know, you go to the doctor and he says you should go on this kind of a diet. It's very hard to have them make one of 30 or 20 or something, have that there for you all the time, you know? Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, community living is tough. But if you put it in its proper place, it's just as bearable as married life,
Sure.
you know? People who've celebrated their golden